guys, what's up? I'm Rizzo.
I'm Zero.
And I'm DK. On this episode of Anime Reaction, we watched the 4th episode of Shuumatsu no Izetta.
If you want to check out our reaction to the 4th episode of Shuumatsu no Izetta, hit that link in the description below.
And be sure to give us feedback in the comments section because we love hearing from you.
And as always, if you like what you see, and I know you're going to with this episode, subscribe to Otaku Saga, and don't forget to like and share our videos. And thanks for watching.
So, in this episode of Shuumatsu no Izetta, they return to the capital. Unfortunately, that also means that Fine finds out about her father's death.
Yeah, we get a pretty fieldsy scene there. And rightfully so.
During the opening, I remarked on Sori Hayami's voice acting in that scene, which I thought was really excellent. Because sometimes it's hard to act anguished.
Especially over a microphone.
Yeah. I
mean, you can make your face contort, to an anguished person more easily than you can convey it through your voice.
Yeah.
So,
I've always thought that she was a really good voice actress, especially if you ever watch Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches.
That's Shiraishi.
She was Urara Shiraishi in that one, the main girl. And in the first part of that series, there's a lot of body switching, which means that the voice actors had to
take on the
mimic the other voice actors, except in their own voices, their own characters' voices. All the voice acting in that series was excellent, but yeah, top notch.
Yeah. I would go more into depth on how the entire cast of that anime in particular were spectacular. Probably one of the best casts since Cowboy Bebop. Just because they all had to do it, but
it was really, really good, well done in that series. But
that's just to say, in this case, she's a damn good voice actress, and it really shows in that scene.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Then after that, we actually, for the most part, the episode's rather lighthearted.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of, I don't want to say gloss over the king's death because of how impactful the opening scene was, but
they kind of gloss over the king's death.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the episode's really lighthearted with
Izetta waking up in the palace
and
getting in touch with the maid, literally.
I see what you did there.
And then we get a little bit of serious tones with Fine and her
her council, her advisors.
Yeah.
But
I mean, other than that, it's pretty lighthearted.
Yeah. The whole episode seems to be a big setup for the coronation of Fine, now that she has to succeed her father. But in this big strategy meeting with some military council, and I'd assume, what's his name, Sieg? Or Reich, whatever they call him?
Basically the advisor to the throne, basically.
The smart one.
Yeah, the smart one, as we call him in the episode. But yeah, so we also find out about the limitations to Izetta's powers, which basically our line of thinking was almost entirely wrong.
It's like the exact opposite.
We had a kernel of what we thought was true, being that the powers come from the world, from nature, but at the same time, not true, because they basically come from what they call ley lines, which are a web of magical power that...
The life stream.
Basically,
from
the life
Final
stream.
Fantasy VII, basically. Even has the same greenish color.
But, yeah, some places have a lot of it, some places have a little bit of it.
The capital has none.
The capital has absolutely none, so literally, Izetta is a normal girl in the capital.
Yeah, so she cannot be the last line of defense if the ley lines are breached. Else that's fucked.
Yeah.
I wonder exactly how much the ley lines have to deal with things that go on the surface. Because if the capital has no magical ley line, then that's a heartless place.
Ooh, very, very interesting. Well, it seems to be more based on the natural world, so maybe... and also, the capital is the new capital, not the ancient capital of the country.
Yeah.
Which was built on a ley line, or a major one. So...
Yeah, kind of reminds me of a lot of stuff in, I believe it's Shintoism, where certain places have magical power, or have power, I guess.
Well, actually, I believe the concept of ley line comes from feng shui as well. Sort of flow of
you
positive
see it a lot
energies.
in the Eastern.
Yeah, it's definitely more of an Eastern philosophy.
Yeah, but so you see it a lot in anime too. Other than the whole being on a ley line or not being on a ley line, pretty much anything's possible with her powers.
Anything would be possible. She found the galactic one.
Anyway,
I still got my wish granted.
there's a lot of fan service in this one.
There is a lot of fan service by this series standards. I mean,
But at the same time, like, there really wasn't... It was comical.
mm-hmm.
It was mildly forced, but it really wasn't all that forced.
No, I think the series does a pretty good job of keeping the fan service rather mild and believable.
It's...
Like, obviously, you're gonna, here in the kind of breather episode, you're gonna get the scenes where, the maid is cleaning Izetta, or Elvira reported bad touch.
Elvira was
That
probably
was
the one
kinda
that
forced.
was like, that's forced.
Yeah, most forced.
That was forced fan service. But most of the fan service in this series is kind of a positive side effect of the scenario, of the situations that the characters are placed in, rather than Verge, where they just force the whole damn thing.
Like the previous episode, all the fan service happening during the fight, that was more fan service based off of particular camera angles, rather than like say she gets attacked and her clothes get ripped or something stupid like that.
But no, like the tank scene with the ass in the window. That was because she went down to a tank and sat on it to, lean down to pick something up, and just happened to have stuck her ass in the window of the tank.
Well, that's the thing, though. It was kind of funny. They wanted to show Izetta in a sort of funny situation, kind of keep things a little lighthearted while she's just wrecking fools. But out of that, you get a very nice view.
Well, or like where it shows her flying, I think it was on the Lance, and it shows her flying towards the camera, and it just keeps on her as her pelvis comes towards the camera. When it didn't necessarily have to. You could tell that they put in that extra few key frames just for that particular reason.
Yeah, they definitely kind of toned down how heavy-handed the fan service was. It doesn't really feel forced, though. I mean, all fan service in anime not called Vierge is less forced by comparison now to me. But particularly in this episode, it's, again, just a side effect of a funny or innocent moment. But as you said, natural, believable.
Yep. But yeah,
More natural.
More natural.
Honestly, I think the series would still be great without it.
And that's the great thing about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely great thing about it. You throw the fan service out, and you still got a fantastic series.
Yep.
That's proper fan service.
Agreed. Actually, all this fan service kind of segues smoothly into a pretty serious question that Fine's council have, because as she's being bathed by the maid, one thing leads to another, accident happens, and
the maid is really short.
Diminutive.
Really, really short. I'm pretty sure that she's quite young.
She's either really young or a step above a midget.
She has to use a step stool to even get high enough to wash Izetta's hair when Izetta's laying down in the tub.
She had to do that just to strip Izetta.
Well, she had
Yeah.
to get on a step stool to strip Izetta too.
Yeah.
But basically, like, she starts freaking out and moving around too much, and then slips off her stool, hits the statue, falls to the ground. Statue starts falling over. Izetta and Bianca catch it.
Fine's a bodyguard.
Yeah, Fine's bodyguard, Bianca,
But
who might be turning into one
the
of my
water
favorite
pot
characters.
that's on top of the statue ends up falling over and hitting Izetta in the forehead.
It looked
Right.
like the back of her head.
It looked like it hit her in the back of her head, but when it showed her afterwards, she had a bandage on her forehead. So,
And while the scene was, quite hilarious, so that thump, it did raise a big question. She's an all-powerful witch. She defeated an entire brigade of Germanian troops. Why couldn't she dodge the jug?
and that leads into her telling them the big secret about witches, which she can tell them because she's the only witch left. So nobody else can enforce the rule that if she tells them, they'd have to kill all the witnesses and the witch. Which is the ley line thing. And basically, since the capital has no ley lines, she's like a normal person, so there's no way that she could have stopped it or dodged it or anything.
Yep.
Or as Bianca and Lotte, whatever, the maid, as Bianca and the maid were trying to get her to do before the whole statue scene, was they were trying to get her to show her magic, and she couldn't.
But the magic's right there.
Oh, there's plenty of magic in that scene. Let's see. So then they decide that they're going to just instead of trying to keep her a secret, they're just going to announce her as the next coming of the White Witch.
Yeah, to possibly serve as, well, one, a deterrent to the Germanians, and two, a possible incentive for the Allies to reconsider their position regarding Eldstadt.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yep. We also take a trip over to the old capital,
Which
where
is a castle on top of a pretty large butte.
Yeah, so almost a slight knockoff of, what's it, Castle Neuschwanstein? I think that's how it's pronounced. The famous one in Germany on top of a rather large cliff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
but in the castle there, they end up finding conveniently a map of Europe, not Europe.
Map of not Europe.
That is a map of the ley lines of Europe, not Europe. Whatever. On the ceiling of a specific room.
Along with a bunch of artwork that's basically depicting the White Witch, too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We also get a quick little flashback to Izetta with her grandma.
And her grandma's calling the White Witch a traitor.
Traitor?
Probably
To who?
because...
To witches?
Probably to witches, because the White Witch really helped out, regular people.
Right, and whether witches are supposed to be secretive, out of the public eye. And here we go.
Probably not using their powers to affect normal events.
Pretty much like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That would be boring.
That would be boring. But then again, there's probably a reason why Izetta is the last witch.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because they didn't find enough ducks. 10 points if you get it.
But then, so we end off with just before the coronation scene. Now, I'm wondering why they're in the old capital for the coronation scene. Because they were in that room.
That's a good
And they were all
point.
dressed for the coronation.
That's true.
Unless the old capital's not that far away and they were planning on going there for some weird reason and then going directly to the coronation afterwards.
I think that what might happen is they're in the old capital for the coronation.
Could very well be.
Because
actually,
the
yeah.
old capital actually has a ley line, and as the coronation and public introduction to Izetta, they want to make a show of it. So Izetta, in order to prove that she's a witch, must produce something.
Also, in case Germania decides to launch an attack, they are in the perfect place to defend against it now, instead of the worst place, absolute worst place to defend it, I think.
But yeah,
actually, really good move, probably on REICH's part. He's the smart one after all.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's
but
all right.
Next episode.
All right now, everything is all right now. I feel dirty.
But next episode's title says, what was it? A
False miracle.
false miracle.
And in the preview, you get a little bit of voiceover saying that her power is not omnipotent, I think.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So part of me wants to say that it's the King of Germania, who we also meet in this episode.
Yeah, I was about to add that on to the end. We meet, basically we see the general from the failed invasion
Of Kannenberg.
of Kannenberg. Yeah, basically he reports the sighting of the witch to the I guess ruler, the king, whatever.
King, Kaiser, Führer.
No, not the Führer. It's definitely a monarch in this, which breaks away from obvious, actual
from history.
Actual history where the monarchy didn't survive past World War One.
And then at the same time, the king himself it seems like he's the only part from, I guess, the World War II aspect is Adolf's love of the occult.
Yeah.
That's about all that's taken into account on this particular part.
Nice catch there,
Yeah. So anyway, he strips the general of his lands and tells him to go
run a prison
Yeah,
camp.
go run a prison or something.
You can choose.
Yeah, you can choose which one. Just go run a prison.
There's 3 opening. Yeah.
Anyway.
Right.
So,
Anyway.
if you want to check out our reactions to previous episodes of Shuumatsu no Izetta, go ahead and hit this link.
And here's a podcast where we talk about all the anime that we're watching this season.
If you want to take a break from watching us react to anime, check out OS Gaming and Rizzo's playthrough of Tales of Zestiria.
And if you'd like to help support us, go ahead and hit this link and it'll take you over to our new and improved Patreon page.
Da-da-da-da.
But let us know what you thought of this anime, what you thought about reaction in the comment section below.
Yeah, thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you don't.
But that's going to do it for this episode of Anime Reaction. As always, I'm DK.
I'm Zero.
And I'm Rizzo.
See you next time.